Hey everyone, I'm Karneck. I'm with Star Wars Armada Explained. Not explaining any cards today. I'm going to be doing another 800 point game, vlog. This was another game between myself and Ard, and we went with we both made some adjustments from the last time we played each other. He went with additional Kuat. He's got one Crymoon, two Dictors, still has Vader. Targeting scramblers. All the Kuats have that whole heavy ion emplacement, ACM, fire control team. They all got ECMs, and they also all have equipped these Phylon tractor beams on all the Kuats, which I thought was interesting. But we'll see if that actually has any bearing effect on the game. And the Crymoon has Spinal. It's got H9s, Gunner teams, Titus, and then also these interdictors have the G7Xs, which is, you put the tokens out. If you deploy within distance 1 to 3 of them, your ship has to go speed 0. And of course the targeting scramblers and interdictor. Well, I saw that, and I saw his build. I saw how all close range he was, except for the Crymoon. And of his objectives, he had Fleet Ambush, which obviously you can see that's what we ultimately end up going with. But he also had Blockade Run and Superior Positions. And I looked at the Fleet Ambush box. I looked at what he had. I'm like, you know what? I bet he thinks that he's going to trap me, but I'm actually going to trap him. And so there's somebody else who's watching the game, and you'll probably see his text pop up. He keeps shouting that Fleet Ambush, it's a trap, and he spawned all these Akbar cards and spawned them around the card. Pretty hilarious. I'm running something close to what I ran last time, so instead of running the million TIE defenders, I'm like, you know what? That's not a very optimized way to do it. Also, the Arcadins, not very good, so I swapped the Arcans out for Quasar Fire of Price, which I didn't end up using this game because I ended up being first, and then it didn't really matter. And also bumped up the 3 flotillas, kept demo, kept my 2 ISD2s, and swapped out 5 of those defenders. I optimized my fighter ball a bit and got um, Mauler and Morna and Jendon and Reimer and Dengar, and all I had to do was just swap out, 5 TIE defenders for it. So it was like, man, that's such a better optimized squad ball with way more bombing and damage output potential. So let's get into the game. I'm just going to go ahead as I did before. I'm going to talk through things as I just kind of click this button through. You'll see the text there between myself and Ard up there at the top. And again, as per usual, we shit talk not only each other, but also the woes and the ups and downs that comes with an Armada game. I also thought it was very interesting that he was placing obstacles as he did, like in this manner. I thought that potentially he would try to clump them a little bit more and just stack them on one side. Ultimately, it didn't matter because it still left me enough room for what I wanted. Because he can only place down so many obstacles. You'll see here in a second what I'm talking about. So yeah, he puts those things up, and yeah, we're just shit talking. So the first thing I do is I check range, and so the only way that he can get range on my Devastator, and that's the first drop I did with Fleet Ambush. So let me back up. So the only range he can get on Devastator, I'm going to zoom in here. So I know it's that range band, but I'm going to go ahead. So you'll see there, that's essentially long distance. You'll see there at the bottom. He would have to put a Star Destroyer right on the line if he wanted to be able to shoot my Devastator at speed 0. And obviously I'm first player, so I could easily just speed Devastator up. My goal was to see if I could trick him into actually deploying his Crymoon there, and which would work out for my benefit. He didn't actually end up doing that, but as you'll see in the deployment as we go along, that was my goal. I could keep essentially everything on that back corner and not get it smacked. So you can't deploy into squadrons during fleet ambush. It has to be all the ships. So I'm slowly calculating my ships, my positioning, and trying to see where he's going to end up with things. And he's dropping his first Kuat right there. He already dropped one of his interdictors. And he was talking about how he wanted to do this kind of a build with an SSD. And I'm thinking, no, you know what, that probably would work good, especially fleet ambush. The SSD actually would be in range to shoot everything, but also everything would be in range to shoot it. Um, and so one thing that I thought was interesting too, he moved away from the crime moons to more Kuats, but he still doesn't have any fighter cover. So I'm just wondering, what is essentially the damage output from those without having the ability to really apply any pressure in long distance. Compared to me, I'm running ISD2s, which, as we know, are just, it's more consistent damage. They don't really have any burst except if Devastator gets powered up. Which, this is the first time I've seen in this game, in spoilers, a full powered Devastator shot. I've not ever usually get the luxury of having that, either because everyone avoids Devastator or it just dies. So now, again, just doing my positioning. So the first Gazanti I placed down was Suppressor, and this Gazanti is my Bomber Command Center. And you might be thinking, why would I need Bomber Command Center with Defenders? They're pretty reliable. Well, it actually turns out that this really saves my bacon because, man, it just really sucks when your Defenders roll accuracies. 2 in 8 chance of rolling accuracies, and I end up rolling a lot of them. So just continue on. Again, he puts down his other Kuat. I'm putting down Avenger. Now I know he has Titus, so I'm starting all my backline ships at speed 3. I have Thrawn, so I'll be able to essentially counter any Titus shenanigans. Titus can't make my ships in my deployment area speed up at all because they're deployed there. Actually, I wonder if he's got the mechanic. It's speed when a ship deploys. So, I'm actually gonna have to actually ask other people about this. So, Admiral Titus at the start of the first round, he may change an enemy ship speed by 1. I guess he actually could have used that to speed up one of my ships in the deployment area. Yeah, actually you can, because the GR7 said to, ruling stuff here real quick. So G7X is, it's only when you deploy the ship, you must set your speed to 0. So you, after deployment starts and start the first round, that's no longer being triggered unless a new ship gets deployed there, like from Radis or Hyperspace Assault. You technically could use Titus to speed an enemy ship up in that zone, if you so desired. Not that he did that. Alright, let's continue forward. So now he's putting out, and I thought it was interesting that he threw double Kuats on one side. It's obvious I'm deploying strong on one end. I guess he potentially thought maybe he could get both those Kuats to catch Avenger. I know, well, one Kuat to engage Avenger, and the other 2 Kuats on these flanks right here to kind of snuggle in and catch Devastator. But I think when he did that, I don't think he noticed, or maybe he did. I made one minor adjustment to Devastator for this game, and I put Damage Control Officer on Devastator. And man, let me tell you, in these larger point games, that card alone saved me buckets and buckets and bucket loads of damage. Devastator would not have survived as long as it did if I did not have that card on there. And I think it's really good, a card like that on like a, a quote-unquote sacrificial ship, like a large ship like a ISD, maybe even run like a Liberty with Endeavor. I guess you could do an MC80, but MC75 would be perfect for Damage Control Officer, because then you send it into a bunch of ships that all they want to do is trigger a bunch of crit effects, and you just stop them cold because they can't do anything. Because remember, DCO stops all trigger effects for crits from happening. So very useful, you'll see that. So continue on with the deployment. And I made a bold move. I initially thought about, how's Demolisher going to fit into all this? What's Demolisher going to do? And I thought that if he hadn't put down his Cry Moon yet, and I thought he was going to put that Cry Moon right here on the edge to be able to shoot Devastator right off the bat. Because he's at speed 0, I can't spend defense tokens. That's the worst position for Devastator. So I'm like, how can I prevent that from happening? And it sucks, but I was like, man, I gotta put demo. I have to put demo right there. It's the only way to threaten, because if he wants to get on that edge to hit um, Devastator, it also means my Demolisher can smack him at close range right to start with. And my initial thought was I wanted to save demo for wherever the Cry Moon was and then send demo after it, but it's like I can't play around that too much. I need demo in the fight, and I need him close. And so then he ends up dropping the Cry Moon right in front of me anyway. Obviously, he dropped it more backline, but now it's not shooting Devastator, and I feel like that's really important as it comes later into the game, because Devastator at speed 0, not being able to spend defense tokens, not good. You need to be able to spend those tokens, get them supercharged up, which, for those of you who don't know what Devastator does, Devastator, once you discard defense tokens, it adds a blue die for you from when you attack out your front arc. So essentially, you lose 4 defense tokens, you gain 4 additional blue die to add to your attack roll after you roll your initial pool. It makes for an insane amount of dice. So I'm still first player, even though Demolisher is starting off at speed 0. I know I can Thrawn, Nav, a token, and double Thrawn dial. The Gladiator can start with a Nav dialed up. I'm gonna have Thrawn dialed up with a Nav, and then the other 2 commands that Thrawn has dialed up are squadron commands, because I have so many squadrons and I need everything to be able to command it, and I want other commands, especially I didn't want all navigate styled up. I really needed all my ships to be flexible, so I had squadron commands on everything instead. So now I'm deploying my squadrons, trying to make sure I'm in activation range of my Quasar Fire and Bomber Command Center and this, that, and the other thing. Now we're all done. We're moving forward. And pretty much I'm just going to be doing a lot of clicking here to get this to play out. And it's a lot. At 800 points, it's a lot. It's a lot of things going on. Oh, I should mention that I had a 3-point bid, and so I bid to go first, or a 2-point bid. He was at maximum 800 points. So now we're doing the thing. First thing I activate is Demolisher. I throw my 2 dice, and I managed to get actually a double and a crit. And he actually chose not to brace that attack, which is, I thought, an interesting choice on his part, and save the redirects. But I guess if he thought he was going to get big whammies on the black die, but he had 2. He has 2 targeting scramblers, so I knew it was not going to be able to. So yeah, it was my initial roll was a blank hit, and I re-rolled into a hit blank, hit crit blank, and I knew absolutely that was not going to do anything for me. So I know Demolisher was going to die here, so I went ahead and maybe it was the wrong choice. Maybe I actually shouldn't have done the ram, because he actually might have survived one more round, but probably not. But I have him do the ram there. My initial thought was I'm going to have all these fighters go bum rush the Cry Moon and tear it on down. And then as I saw him activate, I don't know why he did this activation next. He activated Vader next. And so he shoots the crap out of demo, and that's all well and good. And I made a mistake not bracing this attack here for whatever reason. Just used the redirect. And that essentially leads to demo step, because he never got a chance to brace after that. Everything got accuracies. But then he speeds his keeps his interdictor at speed 1, but then he moves it closer to all my squadrons. And as soon as I saw that, I'm analyzing. I'm like, what's the biggest threat besides all these Star Destroyers and the HIE and the ACMs? It's fucking Vader. Vader granting the rerolls. So now Vader is essentially within my grasp, within Thrawn's grasp. And if I was smart, I would have had demo attack Vader right off the bat. But again, I was focused on taking out the longer range threat, the Cry Moon. But I saw that, and I'm like, man, I need to kill that interdictor as fast as I can. If I take away his reroll ability, it negates what his entire fleet is gimmicked around, which is rerolling into all that super high, essentially one-shotting ISD capability damages. And another thing, too, is he's forgetting to use his Phylon cards for when he was in range. He forgets that a lot. I try to remind him every now and again, but there's just so much that goes on 800-point games. You can't quite do it. I toss over a repair token onto Devastator. And I know now he's not going to need it, but I'm prepping for the next round. Again, Demo's taking more damage, and he gets... I evade rolled that red into a double, forces me to Brunson it. I was hoping that, with a red die, when you re-roll, you have 3 of 8 chance that it's going to go into either 2 blanks or an accuracy, and obviously 1 in 8 to double. It went into a double. That sucks. Again, there, if I had been smart, I just would have braced it and then redirect it to my rear, and then I would have probably been okay. But anyway, he moves that up there. And I'm like, okay, well, if I am going to be hitting stuff, I need Bomber Command Center in range. I activate Suppress, and this was the biggest initial mistake I made. I activated Suppressor first, which was a dumb move. Or did I do Bomber Command? No, I did do Bomber Command. So Bomber Command is now going to do a Speed 1 maneuver over. And that way... And I'm checking there and make sure I didn't overlap my squads, which it did, which is great. So now my Bomber Command Center is a little bit closer, it plays a pretty big role. And now he's activating another Kuat, and he's shooting squadrons. I don't care if they get shot at. They have high health. In case I sent Mauler over, because I didn't want to send my heavy hitters over yet until he had activated. And now he did that. It means there's less threat to my squadrons. Not going to take as much damage. Although, when he did make that movement there, it kind of blocked off a little bit more my avenue of access to attack the interdictor. But not too much, as it says, or as you'll see. Again, now moving Avenger, just to try to free up some activations for myself. And he activates the other interdictor. And again, just getting all the accuracies he needs, and that wipes out Demolisher. And it definitely, Demolisher would have died because the Cryman would have shot it. But my goal was just to kind of make him waste time and effort on Demolisher. So now he moves the interdictor. Again, he's trying to make sure he's trying to stay in range of everything. And then I think he made a mistake moving the interdictor potentially at speed 2. I think he should have stayed at 1 and banked the nav token. Because you see that asteroid field that Jendon is parked on right there? That's going to be bad news bears for many, many, many turns to come. So now we're moving forward. In this instance, I chose to activate Suppressor, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have activated my Quasar Fire. As you'll see, I activate Suppressor, and it allows me to set up Reimer, but I could have done that essentially anyway. Because I wanted Reimer to do the close range shenanigans. And then Reimer, by the way, so I've never, ever have had this happen before. That just blows my mind. So Reimer doesn't miss a single shot this game. And not only does he not miss, he rolls a hit crit every single time he tossed a die. I've never had that happen before. My TIE bombers always roll blanks. They never roll any damage. They always blank. Even with Bomber Command Center, I'll re-roll blanks into blanks. So Reimer is already starting off hitting hard. He drops 2 shields there. And then Art doesn't realize that I'm going for Vader hard yet. And then as soon as he starts seeing me setting this up, now he realizes, yeah, I'm switching gears off the Crymoon. I'm switching gears on the Vader, and he's like, that's the right call. That's the right call to make, because, again, negate his commander, negate his ability. I'm taking away his ability to do what he wants to do. And then I move that Suppressor right into range of him, and I forgot that it has a nifty little card called H9s, which allows you to turn a hit into an accuracy. And that pretty much, and he's got reroll, it pretty much spells his downfall. And just to ensure, yeah, he's going to, re-roll. He's going to grab the accuracies. He dies. Shoot the squads a little bit. Doesn't matter. And then he, again, since he took Concentrate Fire on the Crymoon, again, I don't understand Art's strategy. I'm sure he doesn't understand it either. I'm sure he's laughing right now, too. I don't know why he took Concentrate Fire over a Navigate here. Because if he had taken a Navigate, he wouldn't have landed on that asteroid. And then he pulled one of the worst cards you could ever pull when you first start a game, and that's Projector Misaligned. First crit he pulls. And that starts a very much a downward spiral for that Cry move, because now he didn't brace any of the previous attacks. Now he has no shields on his left or right, and his front is towards my unactivated Devastator. And look at all these squadrons. And so now again, I'm switching gears again, because now I have high potential for kill on the Cry Moon right now. So I stopped shooting at Vader for right now. And I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to do, but I decide that I need to commit my squadrons to seeing what I can do to this destroyer. And so I'm going in, plinking away at some damages. And he used a targeting scrambler there to re-roll. Or no, I tried to fish for critical there for him to use his contain. Didn't get it, but I felt that was the right choice. Move another. Again, Bomber Command Center saved me there to reroll an accuracy into at least a hit. I move. This I'm trying to decide if I want to move Merrick Steel or not. I'm checking ranges on things. And I decide that I'm not going to activate him at that point. I want to see what else is going to happen. Because Devastator has a squadron command dialed up. So I want to see what's gonna happen as things move around. So I bring the Quasar Fire up. It fits perfectly in this right little nook right there. And then Devastator finally activates. I'm just checking ranges on everything. I'm trying to decide what I want to do. And with 2 targeting scramblers still up to help out the Cry Moon. I knew I wasn't going to get a kill on the Cry Moon, but I wanted to throw some more damage onto Vader and also more damage onto both targets. But I decided that I'm going to go after Vader, and I decided that I shouldn't activate Steel first. I activate MK first. This is a casual game. It's not tournament. We're not like hard pressed. As long as you're like making your decision within a second, which these moves are, there's not like a whole lot of time lapse in between. It's just like, I'm going to do this, and you're like, no, what? Never mind, I'm not going to do that. I want to do this instead first. Obviously, in tournament play, that wouldn't be allowed, but this is casual. We both make mistakes. We allow each other to do things. So here, MK, MVP, rolling through damage. He decides to, again, not brace, just take the 3. Or no, he did brace. He braced at the 2, redirects it. I told him, you should probably use targeting scramblers to not take the 3 damage. And he told me, no, I'm going to save it. Essentially, he's going to save it for the shot that Devastator's going to take on that Cry Moon. And I thought that, that's a good idea. You definitely should save 1, but to save both for that, yeah, I feel like if he had used it in this instance, I feel like that would have helped Vader last another round. Because as you see going into the next round, things don't go so well for him based on that. I move Merrick Steel. I decide to hit the Cry Moon. I want to burn off the contain. I rolled double accuracy, and for the first time in history, I'm like, oh man, Merrick's only going to roll 1 damage. And then I totally remember I've got Bomber Command Center, and I re-roll the other accuracy into damage. So again, just trying to force him to either spend tokens or contains, things he doesn't essentially I don't want him to have. So he takes the damages. I'm out of range of Jendon, but that's alright. He's still in position to activate in a bit. Shoot Devastator. I roll heckin' big rolled 2 doubles. And I decide I want to leading shots it because I need a critical to proc XX9s. So in these larger point games, because shields, you're getting shot by so much stuff, shields get stripped off so fast. I take XX9s, which allows you to proc a critical effect, so it allows you to bypass contains unless somebody's rocking damage control officer. It's cheap at 5 points, and also allows those cards, the first 2 damage cards, to be dealt face up. So even, if somebody is, you've already soaked off all the shields, well, that's fine. I've got a crit. I'm fishing for all those face ups, baby. Face ups are what help your ship survive. So I do some rerolls, don't get what I need, and so he decides he's going to target and scrambler, the 2 doubles and the red crit. Luckily, I re-roll into a hit and a crit, and then he uses the other scrambler. And I guess in this situation, yeah, I guess he could have saved the scrambler. You know, he could have used the scrambler in MK before, and he chose, for here, he's trying to get this ship to just kind of hold on. And luckily for me, I re-roll right back into a hit and a crit. He had me re-roll those 2 reds again. So now I'm doing 4 damage, and again, not using the brace, which is interesting because he has no ECMs on it, and ISD 2 at medium range. I mean, the probability of getting an accuracy is very high. I mean, definitely you could bank on not getting it, but between 4 blue die, 4 red die, and leading shots, I'm going to lock that brace token. I mean, you've got targeting scramblers, but then you're using all your targeting scramblers to stop that, and you're not going to be able to use it on other stuff. So I pull 2 face-ups, I pull Calm Noise and Injure Crew, so he discards, he doesn't need redirects anymore, and I decide I'm going to give him some other command. Or no, he didn't get Injured Crew, he got Crew Panic, which that won't play into effect with anything. Alright, so shoot the other ship, heckin' big whiff, move forward 1. Jendin does this thing again. MK, in this instance, she only got the 1 damage, which is fine. Start the next turn. We set our new dials, and again, my last 2 Thrawn dials are squad commands, so I'm making sure I'm queuing up other useful commands. I've lost Demolisher, I've lost Suppressor, so going into it, I've lost one of my big heavy hitters, and I lost my Slicer tools. Not too bad. Oh yeah, and before Suppressor died, I did manage to slice through his Kuat 3 to a squad command, which is definitely helpful. Means he's not getting what he wants, and actually ends up playing into my hands. Excuse me. So now we set, and then for me an interesting move is I decide to activate my Quasar Fire first, because I notice that the Cry Moon is on 4 health. See, this is where you need to analyze the board state, people. A lot of people will just be like, oh, there's a big Star Destroyer in front of my other Star Destroyer, and I need my Star Destroyer to shoot that Star Destroyer. That's not the case for Devastator, okay? And also just not in the case of this situation. You want Devastator to get shot, so he spends defense tokens, and you superpower him up. Okay, and another thing, too, is that my Quasar Fire is I analyzed, I'm like, okay, I can have my Quasar Fire ram this Gazanti. I can stay way back here, out of the fight. I don't want my Quasar Fire to get anywhere into there. I also analyzed that all I need is 4 plink damage from 4 defenders, and I'm going to kill that ISD. I don't have to waste a Devastator activation on that. So I activate my Quasar Fire, and I'm bringing, I squall the guy over, I bring him in. Again, Bomber Command Center saved me there, and he actually made me try to he made me reroll of targeting scramblers, which is great because now he's not going to use it on something else. Still get the critical, get a structural, 1 less squadron I need to kill that guy. Now he's regular hit, down to 1 health, activate my 3rd squadron, and again, Bomber Command Center saved my ass yet again. Accuracy into a hit, and that blows it up. Or he targeted scramblers, and again, still reroll into a hit, get rid of it. That's only off of 3 squads. As you can see here, he's mentioning all that investment into dual targeting scramblers, and it didn't really do anything to help save that ship's life. And we agreed near the end of the game that double interdictor probably not so good. Having a single interdictor, however, is pretty fantastic with the 1 targeting scrambler to kind of, you want to keep them with a ship that is going to be taking a lot of hits from stuff at close range. I agreed with that assessment. But double interdictor, it sounds awesome, but unless you're really getting those interdictors up in people's faces instead of Star Destroyers, because the interdictors are way more tankier. So I feel like he potentially should have reversed those roles. But it is what it is. Art's still a fantastic player. Don't knock him. I mean, don't give either of us credit. We're both pretty freaking awful. I mean, look at me. It's an 800-point game, and I'm lame, and I'm bringing 200 points of squadrons. Don't give me any credit. I learned from the last game. I made some improvements because, boy, if this ever becomes an official tournament format, like, I like to play to win. I like having fun winning. Not to say that I don't ever fly fun lists or things like that, but for 800 points, it's like, how can I optimize this to be the best bullshit? So now I've got MK again. She's being my bae, rolling them 3 hits. Pop her back. That puts Darth Vader down. He didn't have Darth Vader use a redirect there. He just used Brace, took the 2 damage. Again, Interdictor is getting real low there. And so, oh yeah, so Reimer did roll a blank on this attack, but guess what? Bomber Command Center to hit crit. So he contains that. He still takes the 2 damage though. He doesn't redirect it. He's got the redirect available, but chooses not to use it. Who do you even have activating right now? Oh, it's still I relayed still the Quasar Fire because I did the 3 defenders, which was all I needed. Now I relayed to Morkay and I relayed to Reimer. This is still off my 1 activation on my Quasar Fire. So Quasar Fire doing fucking work. Pull Reimer back so he doesn't take unnecessary damage. And again, Quasar Fire, I ram all that, drop back, I'm safe. Here he activates. What does he activate? Oh, he activates this Kuat next. So he's getting some medium range shots on there, and I thought it was interesting again that he chose to activate him next. I mean, he already is in solid medium range of Devastator. I mean, I guess that it's a safe activation. I guess he didn't want to bring this other Interdictor up closer to Devastator for it to get shot, but for me, I'm not going to waste shots on Interdictor unless I have to, because Interdictor is just tanky and it's going to repair. I would rather shoot Star Destroyers that are threatening my other things. Or I have other priorities and targets. See, if he had moved this Interdictor up to get in front of Devastator, and also, more importantly, get that Interdictor in a position where it can double arc Devastator, that would have worked out really, really well for him. As it turns out, because since I had sliced this Kuat to a squad command, he didn't have Navigate, and it ends up as and again, he got the damage there he needed to get HIE, and he's all like, I'm going to do HIE. I'm like, well, I would love for you to do that, but my DCO disagrees. So I contain, because again, remember the timing of critical effects. It's in the resolve damage step. You have to have the critical icon showing, but I've got DCO, which cancels it. So you actually don't need to exhaust HIE, because you can't even proc it to begin with. Throws the damage at my Avenger. I just redirected away. So now, initially he thought he was going at speed 3, and so he did the speed 3 movement, and I was like, okay, well, how did you do that? And we noticed that wasn't the case. Oh yeah, he mentioned that there was a bump on my Devastator. I noticed his ISD was at speed 2. I'm like, well, how did you do that? And that's when we noticed, oh yeah, he's not going speed 3, he's going speed 2. So he re-jimmies it. But it actually ends up being, a better position for his ISD, except for one small detail. You see now it's moved from being something that wasn't blocking my Devastator's way. Now it is blocking my way. But now it's blocking with a Star Destroyer, and it's not blocking with something super lame like an Interdictor. And I'm pretty confident that if he had a chance to do it again, he would have thrown the Interdictor in my way instead of the Kuat. And again, here he's activating Darth Vader. And again, I don't know why he's activating Darth Vader to bring him a little bit closer into my guns and also to my other squadrons. He didn't even have a repair command queued up, which I guess he didn't. I guess he just didn't anticipate the amount of damage that could be thrown at him so quickly. Again, it's fleet ambush though. I guess he did need the nav command to kind of turn to get away from the asteroid. I guess he just didn't anticipate that much damage being tossed at Vader so quickly. And again, I feel like if he could do it again, he would have queued up repair for turn 2. Now he's contemplating going back to just quadruple Crymoons. Quadruple Crymoons are fun, especially with Vader. So now I'm just activating another Gazanti, and I chose this one because I didn't want to activate my Bomber Command Gazanti, because right now he's at long range of the Interdictor, and he's at blue range of the Kuat. I didn't want to bring him closer to the Kuat and have him be threatened more, but as it turns out, the Kuat is going to activate, and he's going to, as he says there, I'm going to kill that little shit, and he absolutely murders my little shit, because I'd already taken a rain damage from the Gazanti, and he got the perfect roll he needed to kill my Gazanti. So murders my poor little Bomber Command Center, which makes me sad. And then he throws a single red die at my Devastator. So yeah, I'm going to spend tokens, please and thank you. I'm going to power myself up, Super Saiyan. And then he moves that Kuat right there, which is perfect positioning. He doesn't have the double arc he needs on Devastator, but he needed to kind of swing that around to get what he needed to threaten the Quasar Fire. So now I'm going to activate the Quasar Fire. It's Devastator, or not Quasar Fire, it's Devastator's turn now. Devastator's going to activate the rest of the squads I've got left. And I didn't know initially about who I should be targeting. I threw a die at the Kuat because I didn't have double arc on this other Kuat. On Kuat, what number is it? 2? But I did on 3. So I figured probably should go after the guy that's in front of me that has me double arc, and just bank that my Quasar Fire can just take a hit from that Star Destroyer. So I do the 1 damage there. Again, not sure what I'm going to be doing. And I realize, oh yeah, Vader's only got 3 health left. I need to down Vader while I still can. So Dengar comes in, throws a damage. He redirects the 1. Get Merrick Steel over. Again, do the double damage. He doesn't have any, or he does have targeting scramblers, but he decides not to use them. He just uses a redirect and contain instead. Drops him down to 2 health. I bring over activate. No, I bring over Jendon. Yeah, bring over Jendon, activate, throw another 2 damage. And he targeting scramblers, and he manages to do that. I get the 1, which is that's all I cared about. He had brace already. All I cared about was just doing 1 damage. That's all I needed. I get the 1 damage. Now my Devastator can follow up. All I need is 1 damage, period. Get it. Kill Vader. Vader's gone. And then use my second front shot into the side. This is the one where I add my Devastator dice to. And do some rolling. And do pretty good at beating them up a little bit. That's it for that. He activates his last remaining ship. And again, he's got a navigate command, and I guess he thought that interdictor was going to fit there. I can tell by looking at that interdictor is not going to fit into that space. But on Vassal, if this was real life, I can 100% guarantee you Ard would have noticed that was not going to fit there. I mean, I don't know if this was intentional or not. I'd like to believe that this was not intentional. He was trying to set up his interdictor for a double arc. But what happens instead is that it gets up there, it rams. I mean, it's close, don't get me wrong, it's damn close, but I knew there was going to be a ram. Forces it back onto an asteroid field, and like I said, that's the beginning of many bad news bears for this poor interdictor. So he takes 1 ram damage from the ISD, 1 damage from the asteroid, and he pulls injured crew, loses a defense token. Now we're getting into... Alright, my Avenger still needs to go. We got 1 more activation. That was another thing. Losing the Bomber Command Center meant that I had to force Avenger into close range of this unactivated Kuat. Is what it is. Luckily, he's in medium range for me to shoot. Do some pretty good damage on him. And then I managed to, again, throw some more damage on that Kuat, just trying to slowly whittle him down. And Move Avenger in, void the asteroid, get the double arc on that other Kuat. Now he activates, and luckily for me, he doesn't have Vader anymore, but he still gets the HIE, ACM, Wombo combo. So this is a full health Avenger with full shields, right? Full shields pretty much. So, oh whoop, I hit the wrong button on this thing. Undo that. There we go. Alright, so yeah. So I'm full shields, and now no shields. All my shields gone. Didn't take any hull damage, but now all the shields I have left are the two in the rear. And he's trying to navigate to get around my guy. Can't quite do it. And I also try to remind him too that he's got the pylons, but he chooses not to do anything with the pylons. Now I activate what's left of my squadrons, doing pitiful amounts of damage here and there. It's next turn. Now I'm contemplating this next turn. What can I do? Quasar Fire is in a position where it potentially can get one shot by the other Kuat, but I'm very confident that it can soak a shot. Right now, Avenger is double arced with no shields by a Kuat. Granted, that Kuat doesn't have any rerolls, but you typically don't want to leave your ship in a position to get double arced by a Kuat that's got ACMs. You'll end up with one very dead ISD, as I learned my last game. I knew Devastator was going to be okay. If he attacked Devastator, that's totally fine. That's what I want. He's got DCO. He'll be totally fine. No crits on him for days. So I activate Avenger first. Just because I knew I can't lose Avenger right now. And I'm going to need him later. So I activate him first. I have the double. He's got squadron commands. My last Thrawn squadron. So I start bringing the guys over to start softening up this Kuat. And luckily for me, I'm getting all the attacks I need. Oh, there, the Reimer didn't throw hit crit. He just threw the 1 damage. But other than that, I mean, he was throwing hit crits all day. Good old Merrick Steel doing what he does best. Now this Kuat no longer has shields on its front or its right. I managed to have him spend his contain. First shot I do is not quite what I wanted, but you know, still decent enough. I was hoping to push the threshold from 6 to 7, so that way when he braced it would be 4, and he would still be taking a crit. Didn't happen. He's got redirect. He redirects all that damage to his left. Well, I still got my side arc here, and I contemplated shooting my front into the rear of this other Kuat over here. But essentially, with no shields left, it's double arced by Devastator, and I still have more squads left to activate. I didn't feel like that was what I should do. I wanted to soften up and really put damage on this Kuat to set it up for squadron kill activations from Devastator. So here I get, again, really good damage. I managed to roll a double, which is great. Again, get the XX9s. Excuse me. Here I managed to pull Comm Noise and a Power Failure. Those don't really play into effect at all. I was hoping for other stuff. Didn't get it. That's alright. Move Avenger. And here I wish I had queued up a navigation command instead of repair. Don't know why I did repair, but that was not very intelligent. Was the repair helpful? No, not in this situation. It wasn't. I mean, it potentially could have been helpful depending on placement earlier, but I really needed a nav instead. So now he activates his Kuat 3, and again, this was interesting that he chose to activate this Kuat. So at board state, this thing's only got 3 health left total, and I still have 5 unactivated squadrons. This Kuat only has front on my rear, but again, he's activating this, I assume because he felt like that Kuat was in danger, but he's got targeting scramblers for it, at the very least. So, again, in the whole, you know, what activation would have done next, I would have done this Kuat that had 3 health left. Because, as you see here, he shoots my Devastator. Doesn't matter. I got DCO. I'm going to spend tokens all day. Devastator was going to be my next activation anyway. because again, my Quasar Fire, I would love to do my Quasar Fire, but that's not my priority right now. I can't. I have to just believe that it's going to survive for one more round at least. He does his double arc. Again, I got DCO, spend all my tokens. Now Devastator is super power mode. And it's funny that he actually almost gets. So he wanted to ram my Devastator anyway, but he actually almost misses ramming anything and almost ends up plopping his ISD right there. But luckily for him, he gets that ram, pops him all the way back, pops him down to health, pops me down to health, and now it's Devastator's turn. So Devastator's got repair, and so if the repair, I also have the repair token. So 6 engineering. I, instead of just repairing 3 shields, those 2 shields in the back are not going to do me any good. I don't need them back there. I don't have any redirect, so I put 2 shields in the front and I move 2 shields to my left. Now this is important. You need to remember where your shield arcs are facing and potentially where you're going to get shot at. Because if I just had left those 2 shields back there where they're not going to help, and I'm also not going to put all my shields forward because I'm not needing them there because the front of that ISD can still shoot into my side, right? My goal is, when I did that, was to make him waste shots from his interdictor or from his Star Destroyer to where he couldn't just flat out murder my Devastator, and it would force him to commit more shots to killing it and potentially not shooting other stuff. Activate Devastator, activate my squadrons, thinking about what I'm going to do. First thing I do is have MK shoot into this ISD, bring it down a little bit, make him spend the brace, move her over, activate Jendin, tap her. Luckily I've got Reimer right there, puts her at close range of the ISD. I know you see the circle there, that's Jendin's, it's not MK. MK has close range with Reimer's ability. Again, re-rolls into 3 damage. Here's my Bay. He's down to 1 health now. All I need is 1 more squadron. Activate. Goes over. Boom. Takes him out. So now he doesn't have an activation from that anymore. Activate my last squadron. Again, throwing it into the side there. Makes him force either redirect or contain. He uses the redirect. Now Devastator's going to do his thing. So first thing I do is I'm going to throw my front shot because I'm hoping that my front will kill this ISD and then I can use my second front shot on something else. I don't have to follow with the side. But I throw it, and here I'm thinking about if I want to add Devastator, so I decided that I'm going to need it on this attack. Add all 4, and I roll 4 blue accuracies. I'm like, well, that sucks. Let's re-roll them all. And so I re-roll them, and I re-roll back into 2 more accuracies. So accuracies, not very helpful. He's got ECM for the brace. He's got the targeting scramblers. I only have 1 critical showing, which makes me sad. So I accuracy what I think is going to be best, which is pretty much not a whole lot. But he braces. He redirects the 1 damage. He can redirect. Takes him down to 4 health. Now I've got a side shot. He's already wasted his scramblers. All I need is 4 damage, and I'll kill him. Only roll the 3, but that's alright, because I can always just ram him. It puts him down. I pulled a structural anyway, so I don't even have to ram him. It's dead. And now I need to get myself in a position to kind of just do what I can to help my Quasar Fire out. I turn him. And now he's going to activate. And again, here he activates his interdictor. Completely throws me off. He's got close range with his Kuat to my Quasar Fire. I think he was just tired and he just wasn't thinking. By this point, it's like, oh goodness, it was late. It was already like 11:30 at night by this point for us. And he activates his interdictor when the appropriate play probably should, because my Quasar Fire is unactivated. He had a chance where he could have killed the Quasar Fire and prevent me from doing an activation. But he activates his interdictor, and I even mentioned that. I'm like, your interdictor? Huh? But he's like, nope, I already activated it. I'm going to commit to it. Again, doesn't hardly do any damage to my Devastator. Leaves him on 5 health and 2 damage, or 2 shields here out the left, which is important. Quasar Fire activates. I activate whatever squads I can get to. Again, just throw whatever damage I can. The whole point is just try to get this guy softened up. And I thought my Quasar Fire would be able to get out of here with the nav command. Can't do it. So I put him in a position where if I'm going to not get out, I'm going to ram. I'm at least going to fall back on the station, even if I'm overlapping the debris field there and take the 2 damage from that. That's fine. You know, front towards the enemy. It's all good. So the ISD activates, and he's hoping he can kill my Devastator out with his Justice Side Arc. Unfortunately, doesn't roll any criticals. So it's only just the 3. Pops me down to the 4 health. Now he has to use his... So what he needed there, he needed a hit crit, and he needed 1 more damage on the blue, and then he would have killed my Devastator. And unfortunately for him, didn't get it. He has to dedicate his other shot now to killing Devastator so he can activate next turn. Takes him out. Tries to move in a position to get out of there. Decides to... He's going to bump instead. Puts my Quasar Fire down. I move my Gazanti. Finishing things up. Moving along. Now we're going to next turn. So now I've got 3 ships to his 2 ships, getting down to the wire. And it pretty much is, my thought is like, man, am I going to be able to get the Star Destroyer at all? Because I was really confident I knew I could get the Interdictor at first activation. I can get the Interdictor. It's only speed 2, Avenger speed 3. You know, I can pick up the Interdictor. Can I get the Star Destroyer? How am I going to do that? Again, based on the information I knew from last time, my Quasar Fire is not going to be able to escape or survive another shot. So even though I had double arc with Avenger on the Interdictor at long range, not worth it. Activate my Quasar Fire. And I was confident about how the hell do you win big in this Sector Fleet mode, because, I mean, so many of his ships have died, so many of my ships have died. Quasar Fire I knew was gonna die. Not a question of when, or not a question of how, but a question of when. Luckily, I'd had a squad token saved up, so I'm managing to do 6 squad activations here, and that's important because it really allows me to move Reimer and a bunch of other squads that were out of range, into range. Reimer being able to use his ability to kind of help boost some damage out, you know, from the longer range, because again, he allows squadrons to attack from close range rather than distance 1. Very helpful in this situation. Again, MK, my bae, she's rolling all the damages, really putting the hurt on that Kuat. I'm just trying to get this Kuat nailed down to the point where I can force him to have no more shields and I can start rolling criticals so he can spend the contain. I do not roll a single critical from this point forward on that Kuat. I roll that, just the 1 damage, not very helpful. I do the whole ram thing again. At this point, I'm just trying to bring the Star Destroyer down. I did want to try to see if we can get it by. Couldn't quite get it by. So I figured, well, might as well ram the Star Destroyer, bring him down low. He activates his Interdictor. He's trying to get his Interdictor out of there, away from Avenger. And then I move Reimer into a bad spot there. I kind of like block some potential squadron activations. It all works out, but I kind of block myself with future activations. Move things around. Again, trying to get criticals. Not quite getting them. Although in this case, I got it on the Kuat. This time. He braces, uses the 1 contain, but again, can't get contains from the rest of my guys. Shoot what I can at the Interdictor, just trying to soften him up. Slow down to speed 2 so I can make the turn. He tractors my ISD, slows him to speed 1. And now, at this juncture... So this is where things, again, just super lucky for me, not so lucky for him. Out his side shot, again, doesn't trigger ACMs. He wants his Darth Vader back. I killed that man. He's very dead. So he can only shoot from side to my side, so that with brace and redirect kind of really helps me. because now we can only do front to front. I've got 6 effective health there. I've got brace left, and he shoots, and unfortunately does not get the damage you need to kill my Quasar Fire right off. It leaves it with 1 health, meaning that if he wants to take it out, he now has to ram it, which means his ISD is no longer going to be able to escape. He calls it right here. We debate it, and essentially he says the ISD is going to die. The interdictor, being at speed 2, is not going to be able to make it. I tell him, well, you go to sleep. At this point, it's a little after midnight. You go to sleep. I'll finish the game out. I'll see what happens. Or not after midnight. It was like closer to 1 a.m. Anyway, we've been playing for like 3.5 hours. So it's kind of funny. Is like, you know, even with these higher point games, you're playing, you know, almost, you know, 3 to 4 hours depending on what's going on. But you really, by the end of, you know, turn 3, turn 4, most of the stuff is kind of dead and dusted. So there, I get the ram on the Quasar Fire of the ISD. I'm just checking a few things. And here, I was like, okay, well, now I need to start focusing on picking up the interdictor, because the ISD is only down to the 2 health, very easy to get. We go into essentially the final round. Managed to kill the ISD with Merrick Steel, and now just is beginning the pounding with all the squadrons. Interdictor has no ability to be able to kill my squadrons. No point to have it shoot. And this, I'm just trying to figure out what's the best position they can overlap the least amount of squadrons. But in the end, it really doesn't matter. Squadrons go out. Reimer has the ability to affect all these guys to be able to shoot at close range. So here comes all the squadrons going in, blasting away, stripping off all the shields on this thing. Again, Reimer's rolling his hit crits. And, yeah, there's Dengar got the 1 hit. Now Reimer got his hit crit. Again, just clinking away all the damage. MK again, 3 damage, MVP. She only ever missed like the 1 shot. And yeah, now it's down to no hole, and that's it. You know, MK rolling all the 3 damages, and then that's the game. And then I thought, you know what, I'll figure out what the MOV was. I thought the MOV was going to be something like a 7-4 or it wouldn't be a 6-5. I knew that, but I thought it was only going to be a 7-4 or an 8-3. So I start totaling everything up. So I fully tabled his 800 points. I lost 422 points, which leaves an MOV of 378. But for sector rules, let me pull those up. So sector rules, you'll see here, for if you're playing in a tournament structure, anything over 360 points is a 9-2. Anything over 500 is 10-1. I don't know how you're ever going to get anything like that over 500 MOV. That's crazy. I guess maybe if you're playing like Firelings or something. But anything 360 is a 9-2, and I managed to get it with 378. So essentially like 12 points or whatever. So very, very close, or 18 points. So 18 points, it's a 9-2. Which is just crazy to me. Like, all I have left on the board is 2 ships. I mean, yeah, 200 points worth of squadrons. The ISD is almost worth, well, a lot. A little rinky-dink Gazanti. I lost, like, almost all my ships. Still managed a 9-2. So, that's 800-point game with Ard. I hope you guys enjoyed just kind of watching it, some of my commentary. I know it's kind of boring, you know, just listening to me talk the entire time. Wish there's more people, but you know, I do my best to try to kind of analyze, talk through, give out advice, and that way you can kind of see some of the decisions and analyze choices. Even though this is for an 800-point game, some of that is still applicable to 400-point games. And at these larger 800 points, like, you're going to make mistakes more so than a 400-point game because there's just more stuff you have to remember. But activation order, I feel, is very, very important for 800 points. I mean, activation order for 400 points is also extremely important, but it's a lot easier to keep track of. At 800 points, you need to really optimize what's going to be the best activation for the damage. But I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see you in my other SWAE videos in the future. Have a good night.